Oh yeah, bring the hammer here, mate. No, not there, you dick. Further back. There you go. There, right there. How's it going, guys? It is Grizzle, and I think it's safe to say that I've got a bit of a hype train video for you all. The image you're currently looking at is in fact of Distillery. Although this isn't a brand new map, it's clear the map guys have definitely been to work. I have no idea if all the maps are going to be going through these changes, but if they are, it would be absolutely incredible. They were kind enough to allow me to show off some of the Distillery pictures, which I think are really insane and just goes to show what's more to come. I mean, this picture with the crane was taken in exactly the same spot here on Distillery by the beach. It's actually ridiculous how different the two images look. And quite frankly, if I was to just show you this one crane image, you would probably have thought it was a completely brand new map. Of course, I don't know all the fine tweaks that they've done on Distillery and all the maps that they've changed, but I definitely know the main reasons why they've done certain things, so I think without further ado, we should probably explain what's been going on with Distillery. First of all, a couple of really noticeable things that you'll notice with a lot of these images, and also when the maps actually do get revealed. First of all, they look a lot clearer, nicer, and brighter in general. I mean, looking at the first image, you can see that there is a lot of vegetation. Obviously, there's some rocks blocking the way, and it's a lot dimmer. Then, of course, transitioning, and you'll notice this with all the images that I show you today, a lot of the vegetation has been removed, and there appears to be a lot more to explore. So basically, the idea being these map changes have come in to fit the future mechanics of the game. Unfortunately, I can't share with you those details today, but it definitely will be in a future video. Even so, the main reasons for these map changes was to make it more fun for players and remove anything that is probably classed as toxic that you might have seen in a lot of maps. I mean, as you can clearly see in this image, the beach area has pretty much been replaced with more areas to explore. I mean, this is a closer image of the beach currently. As you can clearly see, there's not much there, simple vast area of water, and it's out of bounds, so not somewhere you can actually go. Then the fact that that exact same area now looks like this. Then assuming if you were to continue down that route, basically this is the older image of the beach again, and now leads to a pretty little stream which you can actually continue down, and assuming there's actually more over that area of the map as well. So let's just talk about a couple of things quickly. One, the vegetation, and secondly, the weather. So a lot of plants and trees have been cleared out the way, and this has been done for several reasons. One, because monsters that are ground-based, like Goliath that have to jump around, will actually catch by accident onto a lot of indestructible trees, which can make it very frustrating for the player. But there are going to be far more trees that are destructible, so that if you do happen to jump into one, it isn't a big deal. It also helps monsters in the sense that hunters don't have as many little areas that are very cancerous in terms of the fact they can just cheese round it and make it very frustrating for the monster. Then from a hunter point of view, you're going to have a lot better line of sight, so you'll actually be able to see the monster a lot easier without having trees and such get in the way, which is very balanced in the fact that a map like this is a lot larger. Then adding onto that, as a hunter, large bushes can get in your face, or large areas of vegetation, which make it very frustrating for when you're trying to actually spot the monster, especially a monster like Kraken, where you're constantly having to look in the sky. But don't worry, apparently there are bushes that are still big enough for monsters to hide in, it just won't get in the hunter's way. Lastly, with all this clearance going on, little nooks and crannies where hunters can get kind of caught on, which might give you a disadvantage, especially if you're trying to mitigate, have apparently been smoothened out and removed as much as possible, which again will add for a much better experience. Not to mention how much of the vegetation at the moment is an FPS killer and definitely will help people out with lower grade PCs. Anyway, that's at least the idea of these map changes. Then quickly talking about weather. As you can clearly see in this image and a lot of others, it is a far lot brighter and really brings out how good looking this game is. Now, I don't know the specific details on this being the final weather change, but I think this will be a far lot nicer environment to play in, especially since you'll actually have better better line of sight. But don't worry, bad weather is still a thing, which, you know, obviously adds to the atmospheric area of the game. So yes, there will still be a chance of blizzards and rain, which will obviously obstruct your vision. Moving on to the areas of the maps that have been changed more subtly, this is the top cave area on Distillery. Again, looks very dark, looks very depressive, has got trees fucking everywhere. It's disgraceful. Yeah. Yeah, looking pretty dope, but as you can clearly see, the cave area on the left has actually been sort of widened quite a bit. I guess that means that you're going to be able to see the monster a lot easier if he's sort of hiding in there, and it looks like there's a lot more to explore. And then sort of continuing on from what we just said, so there's, you know, a lot more clearance in terms of the vegetation. Then moving on inside the cave, which a lot of you should probably know off by heart. Again, the center area where the arch is now been opened up a lot more, makes it a lot more brighter. Again, just in general looks a whole lot nicer to play in. And you've got to remember that these images don't show every single little tiny perspective of the map. You can kind of see little areas of what they've tried to do here. For instance, the arch allows you to be able to see in as Hunter a lot easier. I would also assume the cave's a little bit shorter, so it's harder for the monster to break out and avoid a dome. Now, on this next image, you're probably thinking, Grizzle, what the fuck is this? And I completely agree with you, because when I was first shown it, I didn't really know what to think of it. And in fact, it's just simply an area outside the map, so basically a void area that you can't actually access. And so-called void area has now been turned into this. So this is what the top back area of the caves looks like. As you can clearly see, it has been widened and looks a lot more cool. So that actually might mean that it's going to be big enough for hunters to actually push in and try and fight a monster that's feeding in there, rather than just waiting on the outside to try and get a dome. Anyway, as far as Distillery goes, it looks absolutely incredible. I'm so pumped to play it. It'll be very exciting to see if the other maps go through a similar revamp like this, because I think it'd be very good for the game in general. Just remember that, of course, the images only show very small parts of what's going on. I'm sure a lot of you caught my video for the upcoming changes for this title update, and now after seeing them myself, it is actually insane the difference in how the game is going to work. Yet what's more is I haven't even seen everything that's going to be happening, and I have so many questions that need answering. But definitely stay tuned, because as soon as I get relayed any information and get the go-ahead, I will definitely be updating you on what's going on and the title update coming through. And if they're starting to tease things like this, then I would assume that this title update is getting closer and closer. I know one of the biggest demands people have wanted recently is brand new maps. Although that's something we're currently not getting, it does appear there are plans to revamp a lot of the maps in game. It'll be interesting to see what other ones they might have done besides Distillery. That's then not to say that they might move on to new maps or continue to revamp a lot of the maps in game. Speaking of revamping new maps, we know they've definitely worked over at least one more. Wraith Trap has had a bit of a work. As you can clearly see, this is the current image of Wraith Trap, sort of the back barrack box, and that has now transformed into this, which looks a whole lot better. I mean, that back box was very frustrating, especially when it would kind of force a loop for a monster, and monsters would go back there to evolve. But as far as Wraith Trap changes go, that's all I have for now. Again, if I get hold of any more images of Wraith Trap, Distillery, or perhaps any other maps they might have looked into or started to revamp, I will make sure to keep you informed. There are also a lot of other teasers for the next title update, but I'm going to save those for other videos. However, if you do go to the forums, there is a post where they post continuously new teasers, which I guess you guys can go check out. Link is in the description. Anyway, so we know Wraith Trap and Distillery are having some rework. It'll be interesting to see the other map changes, and definitely the rest of the changes coming for the next title update. I'm super pumped, but otherwise than that, I hope you enjoyed the video. Say goodbye, D'Anime, and I'll see you in the next one.